You know what the most dangerous habit in the world is? It's not smoking, it's not drinking, it's not even wasting money. The most dangerous habit is doing nothing. Waking up day after day, scrolling on your phone, convincing yourself that you'll start tomorrow, that someday you'll finally change. But here's the truth that nobody likes to admit. Tomorrow doesn't exist. The only time you have is now. And the only thing standing between you and the life you want is this idea that you can keep putting it off. That's why I need you to hear this. No more 0 days. Let me explain. A 0 day is a day when you make zero progress toward your goals. A day where you let life pass without doing a single thing to move forward. 1 0 day doesn't feel like much, right? But then it turns into 2, then a week, then a month, and suddenly years have gone by. That's how dreams die. Not with a loud explosion, but with quiet, wasted days that pile up until you look back and realize you've been standing still while the world kept moving. I want to tell you a story. A guy I knew, we'll call him Jake, lived in Los Angeles. He always talked about starting his own business. He had ideas, big dreams, but every time I asked how it was going, he had an excuse. Work's been crazy. I'll start when I have more money. I'm just waiting for the right time. He had 1,000 reasons, but every single one led to the same place, 0 days. Then, one night, something hit him. He realized that if he just did one tiny thing each day, just one action, no matter how small, he'd be a different person in a year. So he started. One day, he just wrote down his idea. The next day, he made a logo. The day after that, he called a friend who knew about marketing. None of those steps changed his life in a single moment, but they added up. A year later, he had a real business. Not because of a massive overnight breakthrough, but because he refused to let a single day end at 0. That's the magic of this rule, no 0 days. It doesn't mean you have to change your entire life in one afternoon. It doesn't mean you need to work for 10 hours straight or be perfect. It means you never let the day end without progress. You do one push-up. You read one page. You write one paragraph. You send one email. Just one thing. Because progress is addictive. When you do something, no matter how small, you feel momentum. And momentum is the secret weapon that separates the people who win from the people who only dream. Think about this. Every mountain is climbed one step at a time. Nobody sprints up Everest. Nobody writes a book in a single afternoon. Nobody builds a billion-dollar company overnight. Everything you admire, every success story you've ever read, it all came from someone refusing to let days slip away empty. The problem is, most people underestimate the power of small steps. They want big results. They want instant gratification. So when they can't do everything at once, they do nothing at all. That's how they lose. But you don't have to lose. You can take back your days, starting right now, by promising yourself that there will be no more zeros. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and decide you'll do just one small thing toward your goals. It doesn't feel like much. But the next day, you do another. And another. After a week, you've stacked 7 actions. After a month, 30. After a year, 365. Do you realize how much that adds up? 365 steps forward versus standing in the exact same place, wishing you had started. The difference is night and day. That's the power of no 0 days. It turns ordinary people into unstoppable forces, because while everyone else is waiting for motivation to show up, you're building momentum every single day. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I don't feel like it? What if I'm tired? What if I don't have time? That's the beauty of this rule. It destroys excuses. You don't need hours. You don't need to feel inspired. You don't need perfect conditions. All you need is to refuse 0. You can always do one small thing, even on your worst days, even when life hits hard, because one small thing keeps the chain alive. One small thing keeps momentum moving. And once you understand this, you become unstoppable. Think about the gym. Everyone starts strong in January, right? Packed gyms, New Year's resolutions. But by February, most people quit. Why? Because they set unrealistic goals. They want to lose 20 pounds in 2 weeks. They want to see abs in a month. When they don't, they get discouraged, skip a day, then another, and before long, they're back to 0. But the people who win are the ones who show up, even if they only do a little. 10 minutes on the treadmill, a couple of push-ups, something instead of nothing. They don't let a single day fall to 0, and that's why by the end of the year, they're the ones transformed. And it's not just fitness. It's everything. Want to be rich? Stop dreaming about millions and start saving $1. Want to write a book? Stop waiting for inspiration and write one paragraph. Want to fix your life? Stop saying you'll do it someday and do one thing right now. Because success isn't built on huge leaps. It's built on small steps, repeated relentlessly. So let me ask you, how many days have you let go to zero? How many times have you promised yourself tomorrow, next week, next month, only to look back and realize nothing changed? Aren't you tired of that? Aren't you tired of standing still? You don't need to overhaul your entire life today. You just need to refuse to let this day, this very day, end at zero. This is your wake-up call. No more waiting. No more excuses. No more wasted days. The rule is simple: no 0 days. If you live by it, I promise you, momentum will carry you places you never thought possible. And this, right here, is where it begins. Momentum is a strange thing. You can't see it, you can't touch it, but once you feel it, it changes everything. Think about when you push a car that's stuck in the mud. At first, it doesn't move. You push with all your strength, and it feels impossible. But then, slowly, the car begins to roll forward. Suddenly, the same force that once felt useless now keeps the car moving with less effort. That's what momentum is. At the start, everything feels hard, but once you get moving, the energy carries you forward. And that's why no 0 days are so powerful. They create momentum. When you take even the smallest step each day, you're building a chain. Every day you add another link, and with each link, your chain grows stronger. Miss a day, and the chain breaks. But when you keep going, the momentum makes it easier to continue. The first few days are tough because your brain wants comfort, your habits want to pull you back to the couch. Your mind says, skip today, it doesn't matter. But then, after a week, after 2 weeks, after a month, something changes. The same habits that once held you back begin to work in your favor. You feel the pull to keep the chain alive, and suddenly progress becomes part of who you are. Let me give you an example. There was a woman named Sarah who wanted to become a writer. She had dreamed of publishing a novel for years, but never got past the first few pages. Every time she sat down, she felt overwhelmed by the thought of writing 300 pages. So she would stop before she even started. Then she discovered the rule of no 0 days. Instead of thinking about finishing the entire book, she promised herself she'd write at least one paragraph every single day. Sometimes it was just a few sentences, sometimes it turned into a few pages, but she never let a day end at 0. Within a year, she had a complete manuscript. Not because she suddenly had endless inspiration, but because momentum carried her forward. That's the science of momentum. It doesn't just build results, it rewires your brain. When you do something consistently, your brain creates pathways that make it easier to repeat. That's how habits are formed. At first, it's difficult because your brain resists change. But the more you repeat an action, the less energy it takes. Soon, it becomes automatic. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't debate whether or not to do it. You just do it. Imagine if chasing your goals felt that natural. That's what no 0 days can create. Automatic progress. Now, I know you've seen this in your own life. Remember the last time you tried to get back into the gym? The first week was brutal. Every muscle hurt. You had to force yourself to go. But if you stuck with it, you noticed something, it got easier. Not because the workouts were less intense, but because your body and mind adapted. You built momentum, and momentum built you. The same thing happens in business, in relationships, in personal growth. At first, every step feels heavy. But if you refuse to stop, if you refuse to let a single day go to 0, momentum starts to do the heavy lifting. Here's the problem, though. Most people quit before momentum kicks in. They give up after a week, after a month, because they don't see results fast enough. They expect instant transformation. But life doesn't work like that. The greatest rewards come to those who can stick it out long enough for momentum to take over. It's like planting a seed. You don't see a tree overnight. You water it, you nurture it, and for weeks, sometimes months, nothing seems to happen. But underground, roots are growing, foundations are being built. And then one day, the first sprout breaks through the soil. That's momentum, unseen at first, but unstoppable once it begins. I want you to think about how momentum has shaped your life already. Every bad habit you've ever had started with one choice. One cigarette, one skipped workout, 1 hour wasted. And then, Momentum carried it forward until it became part of your routine. The same force that builds bad habits can build good ones too. The difference is intention. When you choose no 0 days, you're choosing to harness momentum in your favor instead of against you. You're choosing to build habits that carry you upward instead of drag you down. Let's go deeper. Scientists call this the compound effect. It's the principle that small actions, repeated consistently, create massive results over time. Just like money earns interest and grows exponentially, your actions compound. Reading 10 pages a day might not feel like much, but over a year, that's more than 3,000 pages. A stack of books that can completely change your perspective. Doing 10 push-ups a day might not feel like much, but over time, that's thousands of reps, building strength you never thought possible. Saving $5 a day doesn't feel like much, but over a year, that's over $1,800, enough to start an investment that could change your financial future. Momentum and compounding are two sides of the same coin, and they both start with the same rule: no 0 days. I want to share another story. There was a young man, Chris, who struggled with addiction. His life was spiraling, and he felt powerless to change. The idea of rebuilding everything seemed impossible. But his mentor told him, "Don't think about rebuilding everything. Just focus on today. Don't let today end at 0. So Chris made a rule. Every day, he would do one positive thing for his recovery. Sometimes it was attending a meeting, sometimes it was writing in a journal, sometimes it was just reaching out to a friend. Day by day, those small actions stacked up. At first, it didn't feel like much. But then, after weeks and months, momentum took hold. The cravings got weaker, his confidence grew stronger, and his life began to turn around. Not because of one big decision, but because of 1,000 small ones. That's the power of momentum. It can pull you out of the darkest places if you just refuse to let a single day be wasted. So here's what I need you to understand. Momentum is your greatest ally, but it doesn't come for free. You have to earn it. You earn it by refusing 0. You earn it by stacking tiny wins until they snowball into unstoppable force. And once you have it, your whole life changes. Suddenly, waking up early doesn't feel like punishment. It feels natural. Working on your goals isn't a chore. It's part of your identity. Success stops being something you chase and starts being something you live. This is why the rule of no 0 days is more than just advice. It's a blueprint for building momentum in any area of life. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. Maybe you're broke. Maybe you're overweight. Maybe you're stuck in a job you hate. Maybe you failed 1,000 times before. None of that matters. What matters is what you do today. Because momentum doesn't care about your past. Momentum doesn't care about your excuses. Momentum doesn't care about where you started. It only cares about what you do now and whether or not you're willing to refuse 0. So ask yourself, what's one thing you can do today to build momentum? Don't overthink it. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for the perfect time. Just do one thing. Because the sooner you start, the sooner momentum will take over, and once it does, you'll be amazed at how far you can go. Excuses are the silent killers of dreams. They sneak into your mind disguised as logic, disguised as reasonable, disguised as truth. I'm too tired. I don't have time. I don't know where to start. They sound so convincing that you start to believe them, and once you believe them, you stop moving. That's how excuses work. They build walls around your potential until you can't see the path forward. But here's the reality. Every excuse is just fear in disguise. Fear of failing, fear of being judged, fear of discomfort. And fear loves 0 days. Because when you end your day at 0, fear wins. Think about it. How many times have you wanted to do something? Go to the gym, work on your business, start that book, and then talk yourself out of it. You told yourself it wasn't the right time, or you'd do it tomorrow, or you weren't ready. And what happened? Nothing. Tomorrow came, and you made the same excuse again. Before long, weeks passed, and nothing changed. That's the trap. Excuses give you comfort in the short term, but cost you everything in the long term. There was a guy named Marcus who dreamed of running a marathon. Every year, he said he'd start training, and every year, he found a reason not to. Too busy at work, too out of shape, too tired. One day, his friend asked him, "Do you ever get tired of listening to yourself make excuses?" That question hit him hard. He realized that all the energy he was spending on excuses could have been spent on training. So he decided to start small, 1 mile, no matter what. Rain or shine, tired or busy, he ran 1 mile every day. At first, it was tough. His legs burned, his lungs ached, his mind screamed at him to stop. But he refused to let the day end at 0. Slowly, the miles added up. 6 months later, he ran his first marathon. Not because he found more time, not because life got easier, but because he stopped letting excuses control him. Resistance is always strongest at the beginning. Psychologists call it activation energy, the effort it takes to start. That's why it's harder to get out of bed than to stay up once you're already moving. That's why it feels harder to open your laptop and start working than to keep going once you're in the flow. The trick is to lower that barrier. Instead of promising yourself you'll write for 2 hours, promise to write for 5 minutes. Instead of vowing to run 5 miles, commit to putting on your shoes and stepping outside. Once you start, momentum takes over. Action kills excuses. Here's the thing. Excuses love perfectionists. If you think you need the perfect plan, the perfect timing, the perfect conditions, you'll never start. But no 0 days doesn't ask for perfection. It asks for action. Imperfect, messy, small action. Because small action done today beats perfect action delayed forever. You don't need to climb the whole mountain right now. You just need to take one step. And when you realize that, you take away excuses' greatest weapon. I remember meeting a young woman in New York who wanted to launch her own clothing line. She kept telling me she was waiting until she had enough money, the right designs, the perfect business plan. But years passed, and she hadn't started. One day, I challenged her, "What's one thing you can do today that doesn't cost a dime?" She thought about it, then went home and sketched 3 designs on paper. The next day, she posted one on Instagram. People loved it. That small action gave her momentum, and within months, she had a small online store. Was it perfect? No. Did she have everything figured out? No. But she wasn't at 0 anymore. That's the power of refusing excuses. You start moving, and movement creates opportunity. Your mind will always try to protect you from discomfort. That's why excuses feel so natural. Your brain hates uncertainty, hates risk, hates pain. So it whispers lies to keep you safe. You're not ready. You'll fail. It's too late. But safe is not where greatness lives. Safe is where dreams go to die. If you want to change your life, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And the best way to do that is by refusing to let a single day end without progress. No 0 days force you to lean into discomfort, and the more you do it, the stronger you become. Let's talk about time. People love to say, "I don't have time." But the truth is, you do. You have the same 24 hours as everyone else. The question is how you use them. Do you spend them scrolling social media, binge-watching shows, complaining about your situation? Or do you spend them building your future? No 0 days doesn't require hours, it requires minutes. You always have 5 minutes. 5 minutes to read, to move, to write, to create. 5 minutes that could change the direction of your life if you use them wisely. The excuse of no time is just a cover-up for not a priority. Now let's crush another excuse. What if I fail? Failure isn't the enemy. Doing nothing is. Failure gives you lessons, feedback, experience. 0 gives you nothing. You can't improve on something you never started. You can't fix a path you never walked. Every successful person you admire has failed more times than you can count, but they never let failure stop them. They never allowed a 0 day to define them. And because they kept moving, momentum carried them through the failures and into success. Here's the reality. You're going to face resistance every day. Some days, you'll feel too tired, too busy, too stressed. Some days, you won't want to take action. But those are the most important days. Because when you push through resistance, even with the smallest step, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than your excuses. And every time you do that, your excuses lose power over you. So, the next time you catch yourself saying, "I'll do it tomorrow," stop. Ask yourself, what can I do right now, even if it's tiny? The next time you hear your mind say, "I don't have time," challenge yourself. Do I have 5 minutes? The next time fear whispers, "What if I fail?" answer back, "What if I succeed?" And then take action. Because the only way to silence excuses is with movement, and the only way to build momentum is with no 0 days. Every excuse you've ever believed has stolen something from you. Time, energy, potential. Don't let it steal one more day. Don't give it another victory. Today, you take control. Today, you decide that excuses don't run your life. You do. And the rule that makes it possible is simple: no more 0 days. Building a no 0 days life isn't about random bursts of motivation, it's about structure. If you leave your progress up to chance, life will always get in the way. Distractions, stress, laziness, they'll eat your time and leave you at zero. But when you build a routine, when you create a system that makes progress automatic, everything changes. The routine becomes the backbone of momentum, the safety net that catches you when excuses show up, the engine that keeps you moving even on the hardest days. Think about how you start your morning. For most people, the first thing they do is grab their phone, check messages, scroll social media. And before they even get out of bed, they've given their energy and focus away to the world. But winners start differently. Winners set the tone of the day before the world has a chance to interrupt. Imagine waking up and instead of scrolling, you write down one small goal for the day. Imagine if the very first action you took was progress. It could be as simple as journaling one thought, reading one page, doing 10 push-ups. It's not about the size, it's about the signal. You're telling your brain, today will not be a 0, and the evening matters just as much. Most people end their day with regret, with wasted hours on Netflix, with frustration that they didn't do more. But what if you ended your day differently? What if before bed, you asked yourself one simple question: did I make today count? If the answer is no, you've still got time to fix it. 5 minutes before bed can be the difference between 0 and progress. Write one sentence, stretch for a few minutes, review your goals. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be something. That's the rule. I met a guy in Chicago who used this exact system to change his life. He was overweight, broke, and constantly overwhelmed. He thought he needed a miracle, but what he really needed was structure. So he made a promise. Every morning, he'd write one line in his journal, and every evening, he'd do one action for his health, no matter how small. Some nights, it was just walking around the block. Some mornings, it was just writing a single sentence like, "I will not quit." But those actions became anchors. They reminded him every single day that he wasn't at 0. 6 months later, he had lost 30 pounds, saved his first $1,000, and felt more in control than ever. Not because he found a secret hack, but because he built a routine that made progress inevitable. That's the key. You can't rely on motivation. Motivation is like a spark. It feels powerful in the moment, but it fades. Routines are the firewood. They keep the flame alive when motivation disappears. If you want no 0 days to become your lifestyle, you need to create habits so simple, so automatic, that skipping them feels unnatural. Start small. Pick 3 categories of your life: your body, your mind, and your future. Then choose one small action in each that you can do daily. For your body, maybe it's 10 push-ups. For your mind, maybe it's reading one page. For your future, maybe it's writing down one idea or sending one email. That's it. 3 simple actions. And no matter what, you don't let the day end without doing them. On good days, you'll do more. On bad days, you'll still do something. Either way, the chain never breaks. Here's the beauty of this system: it grows with you. In the beginning, the actions feel small, maybe even insignificant. But over time, they expand. 10 push-ups turn into 30. One page turns into a chapter. One idea turns into a business. The routine scales with your ambition. And because you're never starting from 0, you never lose momentum. I want you to picture this. Imagine a year from now. Every day, you've done something for your body, your mind, and your future. That's 365 days of progress in 3 different areas of your life. Do you think you'd recognize yourself? Do you think your confidence, your health, your opportunities would look the same? No chance. You'd be a different person, because consistency compounds, and routines make consistency possible. And let's be honest, life is unpredictable. Some days, you'll feel unstoppable, and other days, you'll feel crushed. Some days, everything will go your way, and other days, everything will fall apart. That's why routines matter. They give you stability when life gets messy. They give you a baseline of progress, even when everything else feels out of control. Because no matter how bad the day is, you can always do one small thing. And that small thing keeps the chain alive, keeps momentum moving, keeps hope alive. There's a reason elite athletes, top CEOs, and world-class performers all obsess over routines. It's not because they're boring. It's because they know that discipline beats emotion. They know that when the routine is set, success becomes automatic. And that's what No 0 Days is about. Turning success into something you do every single day, not something you just dream about. Now, I know what you're thinking. But what if I fall off? What if I miss a day? Here's the truth. You will. You're human. Life happens. But here's the difference. You don't let one missed day turn into 2, or a week, or a month. You don't let the chain stay broken. The moment you realize you've hit a 0, you take action. Right then, right there. You refuse to let the streak die. Because success isn't about never falling. It's about getting back up faster every time you do. So here's your challenge. Tonight, before you go to bed, write down 3 tiny actions for tomorrow. Something for your body, your mind, and your future. Keep it small, keep it simple, but keep it non-negotiable. Then, when tomorrow comes, you do them. No matter how busy, no matter how tired, no matter how distracted, you do them. And then you repeat it the next day, and the next, until it becomes your identity. Until No 0 Days isn't something you practice. It's just who you are. Because that's the real transformation. At first, No 0 Days feels like a rule you're trying to follow. But eventually, it becomes part of your DNA. You stop negotiating with yourself. You stop debating whether or not you'll take action. You just act. And that's when life shifts. That's when you stop being the person who dreams and start being the person who does. So, if you want to build unstoppable momentum, stop waiting for motivation and start building routines. Anchor your mornings, anchor your nights, and let every day have at least one win. Stack those wins until progress is your lifestyle. No 0 days, no wasted time, no regrets. Just steady, consistent, relentless growth. Here's the truth. Every single day, you are writing the story of your life. Every decision, every action, every moment you either show up or you don't. That's ink on the page. And the question you need to ask yourself is, do you want to look back one day and see a story filled with wasted time, missed chances, and endless excuses? Or do you want to look back and see a story of growth, resilience, and unstoppable progress? That's what No 0 Days is really about. It's not just about habits. It's not just about momentum. It's about the legacy you're building, one day at a time. I want you to really imagine this for a second. Imagine it's 5 years from now. You're standing in front of a mirror, looking at yourself. If you've lived a No 0 Days life, that reflection is someone you're proud of. Stronger, smarter, more capable. Someone who has built confidence brick by brick through consistent action. Someone who didn't let fear, procrastination, or laziness steal their future. But if you've ignored this philosophy, if you've let 0 days pile up, that reflection is someone filled with regret. And regret is the heaviest weight you can carry. Because here's the thing, time doesn't pause. Life doesn't wait for you to be ready. Every day that passes is one you never get back. You don't get to replay yesterday. You don't get a second chance at last year. The only control you have is right now. And that's why this moment, this very day, is so important. You can decide right now to never have another wasted day. You can decide right now to take action, no matter how small, and build momentum that carries you forward. I've seen it happen. I've seen single mothers working 2 jobs who still find 5 minutes at night to write in their journal because they refuse to let the day end at 0. I've seen young men battling addiction who promise themselves they'll do one thing each day to rebuild their lives, and they transform from broken to unstoppable. I've seen college students drowning in debt and self-doubt who decide to send one email, make one call, apply for one opportunity each day, and a year later, their lives look completely different. Not because of luck, but because of discipline. Because of the No 0 Days mindset. And I want you to know this. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to suddenly change everything overnight. All you need is the courage to take one small action today. That's it. 1. If you can do that, you can start building momentum. And once momentum is on your side, nothing can stop you. Think about a train. At rest, it's heavy, it's immovable, it feels impossible to push forward. But once it starts moving, once momentum builds, even the smallest obstacles get crushed beneath its weight. That's you. Right now, maybe you feel stuck. Maybe you feel like you're carrying too much, facing too many obstacles. But if you commit to No 0 Days, if you commit to small, daily action, that momentum will carry you forward. You'll become unstoppable, not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. So I'm asking you, no, I'm challenging you. Make today the first day of your no 0 days journey. Don't wait until Monday. Don't wait until January 1st. Don't wait for the perfect moment, because the perfect moment doesn't exist. All you have is now, and now is enough. Here's what I want you to do. When this video ends, don't scroll to the next thing. Don't just go back to your routine. Take action. Write down one small thing you will do before this day ends. Something for your body, something for your mind, or something for your future. It doesn't matter how small, it just matters that you do it. That's your first no 0 day. And tomorrow, you do it again and again, until the days stack up, until the wins pile high, until momentum takes over and you look back in awe at how far you've come. Because here's the truth. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody is going to build your dream for you. Nobody is going to hand you discipline or motivation or success. It's on you. And that might sound scary, but it's also empowering. Because if it's on you, that means you are in control. That means you have the power to change your life, starting today. So I'll leave you with this. Do not let today end at 0. Do not go to bed tonight without doing something, anything, to move yourself forward. Plant the seed of momentum now and water it daily. Build the identity of someone who acts, someone who shows up, someone who refuses to quit. Become the kind of person who doesn't just dream about change, but creates it. And when you do, you'll look back one day and realize that the philosophy of no 0 days didn't just help you build momentum. It helped you build a life worth living. A life of growth, discipline, and unstoppable progress. So take action. Right now. No excuses. No waiting. No 0 days.